Hey everyone, BB here, welcome back to the channel. I've got a couple of songs to learn for a gig this week, and I thought I would go through and show you some of the process that I go through when learning new songs and incorporating them into a set list. I'm going to do it from like an ear training perspective. In fact, I'm going to try to not even use the guitar to learn the songs. I'm going to show you how I go about creating a lead sheet chart or a cheat sheet and the transcribing process and how I'm kind of thinking about that. This video is definitely going to be demonetized at least, so do hit the like button, subscribe, and if you really want to support me, then check out my fretboard visualization app, Solo, which is also a really great ear training app and really useful and relevant to what we're talking about today. It can really help you develop your ear training. So yeah, quick plug there if you want to check those things out. So I've got two to do for this gig this week. We've got ABBA's Dancing Queen, which amazingly I've never played before. I can't believe how that one slipped me by. And also Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. Not the dance tune. I got quite excited about, there's a 90s dance tune, isn't there? This is the rhythm of the... So what I'm going to do is go through and listen, transcribe, create a chart or a lead sheet, cheat sheet for Rhythm of the Night, the DeBarge tune. Just showing you broad strokes of my approach, and then if you're interested in any of the specifics, maybe I can do some more detailed lessons in individual videos. Just if you've got any questions or comments, yeah, just drop them in the comments below. So I'm going to try to not touch the guitar to actually get this chart created. I just want to use my ears, listen, and then just write it down into the chart. If I know something is in a key, I can kind of anchor my mind and sound to around that key with all the chords in the key functionally of how they sound. So you're going to hear me doing a lot of awful singing here as I'm kind of pitching and like working things out from my key reference point. But I find this process really enjoyable and really rewarding, and it stretches and trains my ear to hear new things more quickly. The primary thing that we're going for is we want harmony and form. And that's what we're going to be sketching out on our cheat sheet. And then any specific parts I make notes of, or I just practice those over and over if it's any specific guitar, actual breaks or lead parts or solos or anything like that. Even though I'm creating a chart or a lead sheet, I often won't even look at it on the gig because by that point I'll have known it so well. I find that just going through the process of actually listening to it, using my ears, taking it down into a chart actually means it sticks in my head and I don't even need the chart by that point then, which is, I guess, just a funny quirk of how this works for me. The one final thing about why I can do this is it obviously helps if you know the song. If I was coming to a song completely cold that I'd never heard of at all, maybe it would take me a bit longer, but even so, the process remains the same, and it's remarkable as I come into wedding season, as I'm doing a lot of sort of wedding gigs through the summer, and we're doing perhaps a lot of first dances. I get really quick at this process of just like hearing a song that I've never heard for the first time and just sketching it out and learning it. Yeah, I think it's a really useful skill to nurture and develop, and something that perhaps people don't talk about all that much. So yeah, hopefully this video is going to be useful for you. Okay, so let's talk about some of the tools that I'm using to make this process as painless as possible. So the first software that I'm using is called Anytune, and this is for slowing down, speeding up, changing the pitch, putting markers, and basically just getting the transcribing process done. And this is Anytune for Mac. There is an iPad and a iPhone version. Don't think it's for Windows, but there are alternative versions, like I think Transcribe is a big one on Windows PC that I know people use. And the other application that I'm using to actually create the charts and cheat sheets is iReal Pro. Now, this infamous piece of software I've been using for a very, very long time, and it's very, very popular for creating basically chord charts that you can carry around, and just basic chord charts and forms, and then you can play them back as a backing track. Its use case for iReal Pro is a really interesting one. It deserves its own entire series of videos, I think, at some point. It's kind of a love-hate app. I certainly have a lot of love for it, but I understand some of the criticisms. A lot of people use it as this catch-all sort of chart reader for just remembering chord forms. And this is what I use it for predominantly at the moment. And I'm very quick at sort of actually fleshing charts out and making them. Okay, so we've got the song loaded into Anytune. You can see the waveform here scrolling across. Transport controls here. We have the speed control, pitch control, and we can create markers, slow things down, speed it up. As we go through the process, I'll show you more about it, but that's the overall basic window here. I'm going to go back over to iReal Pro and just start bashing out the chords and the skeleton of the structure and the form as quick as I can, and listening for any guitar-specific parts, keeping that in the back of my mind. So yeah, let's do this. It's going to be 4 bars there. guitar bit there, and that's a repeat, I'm sure. Okay, so we've got D. This is all just on a D in the bass, I'm pretty sure there. The bass is staying on D. First time round, it's just drums and bass, so I'll note that. There's a guitar little lick. That's going to be a 6th, isn't it? There's going to be a 6th there, slide, git slide. It's now that little keyboard thing that's outlining some movement there in the harmony. So I'm going to put these as alternate chords above the top and have it like a C over D. Yeah, I think, I'm not quite sure of the rhythm of it here or where it comes, but I'll figure that out later. Verse. Okay, that sounds like the chords change slightly on that second time, I reckon. So I think this is the same. And then that's, I think this is going to be, I'm going to keep this the same. So that's going to be A. Yeah, it's definitely an A. So in this bridge here, it sounds like the bass note's dropping down a semitone. There's the 1, there's the D. No, so it's definitely not going to be a C sharp chord. So that would suspect that that's going to be functioning probably some kind of inversion. So I would guess, I'm going to guess that's a 5 chord. That's an A. So so A over C sharp. Okay, and then bass is dropping down again. That's going to be a G over B again. So it's, and then the bass is dropping down there to an A. And then it hits the G. A. Yeah, okay, so that's making sense to me now. So, and then there's going to be like an A in the bass there. Just going to put like, can I do that? Yeah. And that drops down, hits the G. So this is like 5, chord 5, chord 4, re hitting the 4, 5. And then this is going to repeat, I reckon. And then we're into the chorus. So I'll make this a C, drop down for some space. Okay, cool, right. Straightforward enough. So we've got, so 1, and there's a rise up, down, up into the 5, I reckon. So that's, I think that's going to be like just a coming up, E, F sharp, into, down, yeah, it's called 5. That's an interesting one. Yeah, it still sounds like it's doing the same thing in the guitar parts. Yeah, I reckon it's like that. I'm going to put that for now. And that's the same there. That's going to go 4, 5, yeah. Okay, so there's this delayed 5 chord there. I think that G, that 4 chord holds across a couple of beats. And then it just like gives that little 2 beats into there. Ding, ding, to pick us back to the intro. Just flesh out, put these bars in. And now we're into sort of the intro again. So that verse is, I think that's exactly the same. So I am going to save some space here. So I'm going to do this as a repeat here, take us back to here. It's going to be a safer way of doing it, yeah. Okay, that works really, really well because basically I can do this as first time and then the bridge, or the break, I'm going to call this D, it's going to be the second time. So obviously just basic forms, you know, traditional form. Now we're going to come through to the verse, bridge, chorus, interlude, take us back to the verse, all the way through again, and then when we get to, when we get through to here, we're going to just skip to the second time bar. So this break or bridge or whatever solo section, I guess it's a solo, isn't it? Yeah, okay, so that's just going 6/5, I think there. So B minor, 2 bars, I think it was, and then A. After that break, we're going back to the pre-chorus. I'm going to do B, and then C, up a tone, then round and round. Chat ending in sound check. So I know we're going to get to only run this just in sound check, and so presuming everyone else has learnt it as the original in the form, it should all be fine. And we'll just, I think it fades, doesn't it, on the original there, so then we'll just figure it out. Okay, so I'm just going to play through, just faff around and see how far out my ears were, and just make any notes of things as I go. Is D. So I'm listening out for this guitar slide here. Yeah, that's definitely third, 1 to 3 or 6th. Yes, classic kind of 6th slides. Classically with an interval, maybe here like -6th. But intervallic function-wise, if I'm thinking D is my root note context, then this is the 1, this is the 3. So let's do, let's just double check the chords here in the verse. Yeah, so this bit here where I got the A in the bass, I think that's then just, it's like a sus, like doing it as a G over an A, I think there. Bass notes actually are different, aren't they? It does actually go to the right bass notes there. Yeah, I really hear that. Yeah, of course. So that's definitely going to the C chord. It's making sense now, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the same again. So C and then G over A. So it's not... Now by this point I've really got the form, structure, everything in my head, and the harmony and the chords and everything that's going on. Now what I'd probably do is just zoom and dive in a little deeper and start looking at the specific guitar lines, practicing those, working those out. When it feels like the world is on your shoulders. So in that left speaker I can hear that kind of funky line on a D note. A lot of these kind of tunes, this is where the meat and potatoes of your guitar part lies. Small little single note funky lines, dyads, triads, kind of voicings, not getting in the way of the keyboard player or the horns and such. So it's very common stuff. And I've done this so many times in so many other tunes that you can kind of just know where it sits. It's probably going to be on the D string. On the G string. Maybe on the B. I'll get the exact rhythm later on. It's changed from the funky thing, so I need to remember that. So it's going to be something like that, I reckon. Yeah. That's G major 7 there, actually, isn't it? Yeah. A little funky thing there on the 5-chord triad. So what I want to talk about with these kind of voicings and things in this style of music for this kind of guitar playing function work, I'm not playing like big chords at any point really. So for this pre-chorus part, I'm gonna probably do this. So just triads. Knowing your triads is so important. Being able to see major, minor, diminished triads all over the neck. Really useful for not getting in the way of other instruments. Okay, so I think the guitar parts, there's 2 guitar parts I'm hearing now actually. There's another arpeggio line in the pre-chorus, but also there's a strumming thing going on. That's a guitar. Something like that. and I think it's splitting up between like the strum bit and then the funky part. Maybe right and left speaker. Yeah. So that's coming on the fire. Yeah. So I need to remember that. So now I've got to sort of add in the strummed part on the first part, half of the bar or the part, and then on the second half, the funky line. So actually what I'll do now is I'll actually kind of do the isolation thing, because Anytune has this really cool feature where it can kind of just like sort of strip out any of the frequencies around what you're looking for. So they call it reframe, I think. So if you turn on reframe and then go into this section here, press play. So you can see it's kind of like this sort of visual representation of what it's cutting out. So all the middle bit's gone from this square. I can just hear the frequencies around that. Got like the 8 kilohertz here, 150 hertz. And this is immediately, you should hear, it's really brought out the guitar. Now this is just by look. You normally have to kind of fiddle around to find where this is. I know that the guitar part I'm concentrating on at the moment is in the left speaker, so I can drag the pan thing over here to the left. Oh, no, that's really clear. That's really brought out those arpeggios I was talking about. So if you listen to those, da, da, da. That's exactly what he's playing there. Yeah. Yeah. I think I got that spot on. Yeah. Something like that. Okay, so the chorus part. Oh, this other strum guitar part's in the right speaker. Yeah, you can hear that now. So I reckon those voicings are going to work like. And then the funky part coming in. Yeah, and that's it. So. Yeah, that's all kind of come together now. I've kind of got these two parts. And even if I didn't go into the hyper details now and actually learn it actually note for note or like as close to as ever I'm going to do, I could now blag this more than good enough to fit in and play an appropriate part for the job. And ultimately, that's where a lot of people would stop. And maybe I would sometimes too. It depends on how much I'm digging the tune, maybe, showing my colours there. But I don't know, I do get quite a bit of a kick from trying to actually work out what people were doing on the record and, you know, these original tunes and try and learn to play them. And then expand and extrapolate and change it over time as I like. And as, you know, being somewhat creative with stuff. I get into the bridge. This is the last sort of interesting or different part that I haven't quite got yet. There's something going on here I need to listen out for. Oh, there we go. You heard it there. You hear that little da-da-da-da. So this is buried really deep in the mix, actually. So I'm kind of doing some, getting some extra brownie homework points here. So I can only really hear this because I'm kind of isolating the guitar bits. It's kind of very textural, and because there's a lot of these sound effects going on as well as the chattering in the kind of, it's very common in the 80s, wasn't it, with the kind of soul pop kind of funk thing. Lionel Richie had a lot of that going on as well. Cool, that's nice, I like that. That's nice and subtle. Back to the pre-chorus. I pretty much know I can do this song now. It's taken me quite a bit longer than I usually would because I've been trying to get all the filming right and making sure I'm screen recording, and I had to start and stop a few times because of that, and batteries dying, etc. But this whole process usually would not take me more than 15 minutes, depending on the complexity, of course. But just to get the sort of skeleton and the chords and harmony using my ears without the guitar. It'll probably take me somewhere between sort of like maybe 10 to 15, 20 minutes max. And then depending on the complexity of the guitar parts, you know, another 10 minutes or so just to kind of like zoom into some of the details. So, you know, it might take half an hour, 40 minutes to learn a song pretty well. To the point where I know I'm going to like do a good job of it as well. And I'll also be listening to the song as well. And as soon as I get the set list for gigs, you know, if there's anything new that crops up, I'll just put it on in the background, just letting things sort of soak in and absorb, even before I sit down to actually do a chart. And like I say, most people probably don't do this. I just have this bit of an OCD thing where I like to just write a chart, even if I'm not going to use it. It just helps it stick in. And I find I end up having a deeper connection. And it's also useful then if people need to grab it because they haven't learnt it, which is also more common occurrence. Okay, well, maybe that was useful for you. Hopefully it's a bit of a window into some of the sort of ear training process of it. I'm anchoring always, trying to hear chord functions. This is quite a simple, straightforward one. We've got nothing crazy going on. It's just chord 1, 4, 5, 6. We've got some sus chords and that sort of flat 7 major chord going on. And I can hear all that. I didn't need the guitar to do it, just because I've sort of trained my ears in this way. I don't know how interesting this will be or how useful, but I guess I think I would want to watch this. I think I'd find it interesting to see people's process for doing these kind of boring, kind of everyday jobber things. So yeah, if you like it, let me know. Like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Check out Solo app, check out the fretboard visualization course, check out my podcast, the Guitar Hour podcast, and my website, davidbb.com. And until next time, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.